He was a decorated war hero sleeping under a bridge. Every morning, a poor social worker broke the rules just to keep him alive. But then a woman in a black suit arrived, asking questions no stranger should know. Who was she? And why did her arrival shake the veteran to his core? Sit back and find out as we delve into this powerful story of sacrifice, betrayal, and redemption. In the shadows of downtown Seattle, beneath the I-5 overpass, the morning rain fell cold and relentless. The sound of traffic above mixed with the dripping water. In one dark corner, behind a stack of cardboard boxes, an elderly man lay curled on the wet concrete. His body shook violently. His breath came in short, painful gasps. His hands, scarred and weathered, clutched a faded green military jacket to his chest. His name was Thomas. He had not always lived like this. 20 years ago, Thomas wore his uniform with pride. He was a fire team leader in the United States Marine Corps. He served 2 tours in Iraq. He earned a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star for valor. His men respected him. His superiors praised him. He had a wife named Patricia, a modest home in Tacoma, and a daughter from his first marriage named Sarah. Sarah was 12 when Thomas remarried. She was quiet, smart, and she loved her father more than anything in the world. Thomas tried his best to blend his new life with his role as Sarah's father. Patricia seemed kind at first. She smiled when Sarah visited on weekends. She cooked family dinners. She told Thomas she accepted his daughter completely. Life felt stable. Thomas had a purpose. But war leaves marks that don't show on the surface. Thomas came home from his second deployment differently. Loud noises made him jump. Crowds made him sweat. Sleep brought nightmares that left him screaming in the dark. He tried to hide it. He tried to be strong, but the darkness grew. One evening, Sarah sat with him on the back porch. She was 16 now. "Daddy, are you okay? You seem so far away sometimes." Thomas put his arm around her. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired. War changes people, but I'm still your dad. I'll always be here for you." Sarah leaned against him. "I love you, Daddy. No matter what." Thomas held her tight. "I love you too, baby girl. More than you'll ever know." But Patricia saw the change too, and she didn't like it. Thomas started missing work at the fire station where he'd taken a job after leaving the service. The nightmares got worse. Then came the injury. During a routine call, Thomas fell through a weakened floor in a burning building. His back was severely damaged. 3 vertebrae fractured, nerve damage that would never fully heal. The doctors prescribed pain medication. Oxycodone. Just temporary, they said, just until you heal. But Thomas didn't heal. The pain stayed, and the pills became the only thing that made it bearable. 1 year after the injury, Thomas sat at the kitchen table with Sarah, now 18, and preparing for college. Patricia stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "Daddy, I got accepted to University of Washington." Sarah's eyes were bright with hope. "I want to study law, maybe help veterans someday." Thomas smiled through his pain. "That's my girl. I'm so proud of you." But Patricia's voice cut through the moment. "Thomas, we need to talk. About money. About everything." Sarah looked between them, sensing tension. Thomas turned to his daughter. "Sweetheart, can you give us a minute?" Sarah left reluctantly, closing the door to her room. Patricia sat down across from Thomas. Her face was cold. "This isn't working anymore." "What isn't working?" Thomas asked, confused. "You. This. Us. You're different now. You're not the man I married." Thomas felt his chest tighten. "I'm trying, Patricia. The pain is real. The doctors said it takes time." Patricia shook her head. "I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to take care of a disabled veteran who can barely work. You're on all these pills. You're depressed. You're broken." Those words hit Thomas like a physical blow. "I gave everything for this country. I'm doing my best." Patricia stood up. "Your best isn't good enough anymore. I want you to make a choice, me or Sarah." "What?" Thomas couldn't believe what he was hearing. "She's my daughter. I can't just stop being her father." Before we go any further, please subscribe to the channel. My mom said I can't get to 1,000 subscribers, so I pour all my energy into this story for you to enjoy because you matter to me a lot, so let's prove her wrong. Subscribe, like, and tell us where you are watching from. Now, let us continue. Patricia's eyes went cold. Then I want her college fund. You've been saving for her. I want that money for us, for our future. If you won't choose me over her, then at least show me I matter. Thomas stood up, anger rising through the fog of pain medication. That money is for Sarah's education. I've been saving since she was born. You're not touching it. Patricia smiled, but it wasn't warm. Then we're done, Thomas, and you'll regret this. She walked out of the kitchen. Thomas sat back down, his hands shaking. What just happened? He whispered to himself. The next morning, Thomas woke up to find Patricia packing suitcases. Where are you going? She didn't look at him. I'm leaving. I'm filing for divorce. But don't worry, I'll make sure I get what I'm owed. Thomas tried to stand, but the pain in his back flared. Patricia, please. We can work this out. She laughed bitterly. Work it out? With a drug addict who can't provide anymore? I don't think so. And Thomas, you might want to check your bank account. Thomas grabbed his phone with shaking hands. He opened his banking app. His heart stopped. The account was empty, completely drained. Every penny he'd saved for Sarah's college, his disability back pay. Everything. Gone. Patricia, what did you do? His voice was barely a whisper. She turned to face him, her expression triumphant. I did what I had to do. I'm your wife. That money was community property. Consider it my exit payment. She dragged her suitcase toward the door. You can't do this. Sarah needs that money for school. Patricia stopped at the doorway. Maybe you should have thought about that before you chose her over me. Goodbye, Thomas. Enjoy your pills. The door slammed shut. Thomas collapsed onto the couch, his world crumbling around him. He reached for his phone to call Sarah, but stopped. How could he tell her? How could he explain that he'd lost everything? That the money for her dreams was gone? He couldn't. Not yet. He needed time to figure this out. But time was something Thomas didn't have much of anymore. 3 months later, Sarah called him. Daddy, I haven't heard from you in weeks. Are you okay? Thomas sat in the dark living room surrounded by empty pill bottles. Yeah, baby girl. I'm fine. Just busy. Liar. His mind screamed the word, but his mouth couldn't say it. Daddy, I need to talk to you about something. Patricia called me. Thomas's blood went cold. What did she say? She said you don't want to see me anymore. She said you chose your new life and I'm not part of it. She said the college fund is gone because you spent it on drugs. Daddy, is that true? No. Thomas's voice broke. Baby, that's not true at all. I would never, Sarah. I need to explain. But Sarah's voice was thick with tears. Patricia showed me bank statements, Daddy. Your name is on the withdrawals. She showed me pictures of pill bottles. She said you're an addict and you told her to keep me away from you. Thomas tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. The pills had fogged his mind. He couldn't think clearly. He couldn't explain fast enough. Sarah, please listen to me. I'm sorry, Daddy. I can't do this right now. I need space. I need to focus on school. I got a scholarship, so I'll be okay. But I can't talk to you until you get help. The line went dead. Thomas stared at the phone. Then he screamed, a raw, broken sound that echoed through the empty house. Patricia had won. She'd taken his money, his dignity, and now his daughter. All he had left were the pills and the pain. 6 months after that, Thomas lost the house. He couldn't make the mortgage payments. His disability checks were barely enough to survive, and even those seemed smaller than they should be. He didn't know that Patricia had forged documents to redirect part of his VA benefits to her own account. He didn't know she'd been intercepting his mail. He just knew that everything was falling apart. He moved into a cheap motel, then a weekly rental, then his truck, then the streets. The pills ran out. The pain became unbearable. He tried to reach out to the VA, but the system was slow, complicated, and he couldn't think straight anymore. His phone died and he couldn't afford to replace it. He became invisible, just another homeless veteran in a city full of them. Now, 2 years later, Thomas lay under that overpass, shaking from withdrawal, infection, and despair. His medals were in his backpack, wrapped in plastic. His military ID was tucked in his jacket pocket, but no one looked close enough to see who he used to be. God, please, if you're listening, please help me. His voice was barely a whisper. I don't want to die like this. I just want to see my daughter one more time. Please. His eyes closed. His breathing slowed. The rain kept falling, and Thomas waited for an end that felt inevitable. But across the city, destiny was already in motion. That same morning, a young woman named Elena rushed through the rain toward the downtown social services office. She wore a simple gray jacket over jeans, and her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun. Worry filled her face. Elena was 28 years old. She'd grown up in a small town in eastern Washington, the oldest of 4 children. Her parents were farm workers who'd immigrated from Mexico before she was born. They worked brutal hours in the fields to give their children a better life. Elena watched her mother's hands crack and bleed from the cold. She watched her father's back bend from years of labor, and she promised herself she would make their sacrifice mean something. She studied hard. She won scholarships. She graduated with a degree in social work from Washington State University. Her parents cried at her graduation. "Mija, you did it. You're the first in our family to finish college." Her mother had held her face in both hands. Now you can help people. Now you can make a difference. And Elena tried. She really did. But the system was broken in ways she hadn't understood as a student. She got her first job at a nonprofit homeless outreach center in Seattle. The pay was barely above minimum wage. Her student loans took half of every paycheck. She lived in a tiny studio apartment in a rough neighborhood because it was all she could afford. She skipped meals to save money. She walked to work to save bus fare. And still, every month she sent a little money home to help her younger siblings stay in school. This morning, she was running late. She'd stayed up until 3 a.m. helping a client fill out housing applications. Then her alarm didn't go off. Now she was almost 20 minutes behind schedule, and her supervisor, Margaret, had already warned her twice about punctuality. Elena, you're a good worker, but this job requires discipline. One more late arrival and we'll have to have a serious conversation. Margaret had said it kindly, but the message was clear. Elena couldn't afford to lose this job. She had bills. She had family counting on her. She had student loans that didn't care about her good intentions. She walked faster, her breath visible in the cold morning air. Then she decided to take a shortcut. There was a route under the I-5 overpass that would save her 5 minutes. It wasn't the safest path, but it was daylight, and she was desperate. Elena turned down the narrow street and ducked under the concrete overpass. The smell hit her first. Urine, garbage, and something else. Something sick and wrong. She kept walking, eyes forward, trying not to intrude on the people sleeping in tents and cardboard shelters. This was someone's home. These were human beings, not obstacles. Then she heard it. A low, rattling moan. A sound of pain so deep it seemed to come from the earth itself. Elena stopped. Her heart beat faster. She should keep walking. She was already late. But that sound, it wasn't normal. It was the sound of someone dying. Elena turned toward the noise. Behind a stack of collapsed cardboard boxes, she saw movement. A shape, barely human, curled in the shadows. "Hello?" Her voice was soft. "Are you okay?" No response, just that terrible breathing. Elena stepped closer. She pulled out her phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam illuminated a man. Elderly, maybe 60 or 70. His face was gray. His lips were blue. His body shook uncontrollably. Oh my God. Elena dropped to her knees beside him. "Sir, can you hear me?" She touched his shoulder gently. He was burning with fever. His skin was hot enough that she could feel it through his jacket. "Sir, my name is Elena. I'm a social worker. I'm going to help you. Please stay with me." The man's eyes opened slightly. Clouded. Unfocused. "Help." The word was barely audible. "I'm here. You're not alone." Elena's hands shook as she assessed him. She'd done medical training as part of her degree. This man was in critical condition, severe infection, possible pneumonia, dehydration. He needed a hospital immediately. She looked around. No one else was nearby. The other people sheltering under the overpass were either asleep or deliberately ignoring what was happening. She couldn't carry him alone. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Yes, I need an ambulance at the I-5 overpass near Pike Street. I have a man here, approximately 60 to 70 years old, unconscious, high fever, labored breathing. Please hurry. The dispatcher asked questions. Elena answered as best she could while keeping one hand on the man's shoulder. The ambulance is on the way, sir. Just hold on. Please, hold on. She noticed his backpack nearby. Old military green covered in patches and pins. She carefully unzipped it. Inside, wrapped in a plastic bag, were medals, a Purple Heart, a Bronze Star, ribbons she recognized from her training. This man was a veteran. Elena's throat tightened. Her uncle had served in the army. She knew what these medals meant. Sir, you served? You're a veteran? The man's eyes focused slightly. He tried to nod. Thank you for your service, Elena whispered, tears filling her eyes. I promise I won't let you die here, not like this. Sirens wailed in the distance. The ambulance was coming. But Elena knew something else too. Even if they saved his life today, he'd be back on these streets in a few days. The hospitals didn't keep homeless patients long. There was no follow-up care, no housing, no support. The system would fail him again, unless someone fought for him, unless someone cared enough to break the rules. Elena made a decision right there, kneeling on the cold concrete beside a dying stranger. She would be that someone. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed over with equipment. Elena stepped back, giving them room to work. They lifted the man onto a stretcher and loaded him into the ambulance. Ma'am, are you family? One paramedic asked. Elena shook her head. No, I'm a social worker. I found him. Do you know his name? No. But I'm going to find out. Which hospital are you taking him to? Harborview Medical Center. Elena nodded. I'll follow up there. She watched the ambulance drive away, lights flashing. Then she looked down at her hands. They were dirty from the street. Her jacket was wet from the rain, and she was now 30 minutes late for work. Elena took a deep breath. Then she started running, not toward her office, toward the hospital. Because some things mattered more than keeping your job. Some things required you to be late. Some things required you to break the rules. And Elena had just found her reason. When Elena arrived at Harborview Medical Center, she was soaked from the rain and breathing hard. The emergency room was chaos. Nurses rushed between rooms. Doctors shouted orders. Machines beeped urgently. Elena approached the front desk. Excuse me, I'm looking for a patient who just came in by ambulance. Elderly male, homeless, found under the I-5 overpass. The receptionist barely looked up. Are you family? No. I'm a social worker. I'm the one who called 911. I need to make sure he's okay. The receptionist typed something into her computer. He's being treated now. You'll have to wait. But I need to. You'll have to wait. The receptionist's tone made it clear the conversation was over. Elena sat down in the crowded waiting room. An hour passed. Then 2. She called her office. Margaret, it's Elena. I know I'm not there. I'm so sorry. There was an emergency. Margaret's voice was tight. Elena, this is the 3rd time. I understand emergencies happen, but you have responsibilities here. Clients who need you. I know. I'm at the hospital. I found a veteran this morning, dying under the overpass. I couldn't just leave him. There was a long silence. Then Margaret sighed. Elena, your heart is in the right place, but you can't save everyone, and you definitely can't save them if you lose your job. Do you understand? Yes. Elena's voice was small. Come in tomorrow. On time. We'll discuss this further. The line went dead. Elena sat there, staring at her phone. Maybe Margaret was right. Maybe she was being foolish. But then a doctor walked out into the waiting room. Is there anyone here for the John Doe brought in from the overpass? Elena stood up immediately. I'm here. I'm the one who found him. The doctor looked tired. He's stable for now. Severe pneumonia, infected wounds on his feet, malnutrition, and signs of past substance abuse. We're treating the infection and getting fluids into him. He's lucky you found him when you did. Another day and he wouldn't have made it. Elena felt relief wash over her. Can I see him? The doctor hesitated. Are you family? No, but I'm trying to help him. He has no one else. The doctor studied her for a moment, then nodded. 5 minutes. Follow me. Elena followed him through the sterile white hallways. They entered a room where the man lay connected to multiple IVs and monitors. His face looked slightly less gray now. His breathing was steadier. Elena approached the bed slowly. Sir, I don't know if you can hear me, but you're safe now. You're in the hospital. They're taking care of you. The man's eyes fluttered open. He looked at her with confusion. Where am I? You're at Harborview Medical Center. You were very sick. I found you this morning under the overpass. The man tried to sit up but didn't have the strength. My things. My backpack. Elena gently touched his arm. It's safe. The paramedics brought it. Everything is here. Do you remember your name? The man's eyes filled with tears. Thomas. My name is Thomas. Thomas. Elena smiled. It's nice to meet you, Thomas. I'm Elena. Thomas looked at her with an expression that broke her heart. Why did you help me? Because everyone deserves help, Thomas. No matter what. You're a human being. You're a veteran. You matter. Thomas turned his head away, but she could see his shoulders shaking. Thank you. His voice cracked. Thank you for not walking away. Elena squeezed his hand gently. I'm going to make sure you get the care you need, Thomas. I promise. Over the next 3 days, Elena visited Thomas every evening after work. She brought him clean clothes from a donation center. She helped him fill out paperwork for VA benefits that he'd lost track of years ago. She contacted the hospital social worker to coordinate a discharge plan. And slowly, Thomas began to talk. He told her about his service in the Marines, about the injury, about Patricia's betrayal, about losing Sarah, about the pills and the pain and the years of homelessness that followed. Elena listened to every word. She didn't judge. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. And Thomas felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt seen. He felt human again. On the 4th day, a hospital administrator pulled Elena aside in the hallway. Ms. Herrera, we need to discuss Mr. Thomas's discharge. Elena's stomach dropped. What about it? He's stable enough to leave. We need the bed. But he has nowhere to go. If you discharge him, he'll be back on the streets, and this will all happen again. The administrator looked sympathetic but firm. I understand your concern, but we have protocols. We can't keep patients indefinitely just because they're homeless. Have you contacted the VA? Elena felt frustration rising. Yes, I've contacted everyone. The VA has a months-long wait list for housing. The shelters are full. The transitional programs have no space. What am I supposed to do? Let him die? The administrator sighed. I'm sorry, but unless someone takes responsibility for him, we have to discharge him tomorrow. Elena stood there, her mind racing. Then she heard herself say something she hadn't planned. I'll take responsibility. I'll take him home with me. The administrator's eyes widened. Ms. Herrera, that's highly irregular. You're not a licensed care facility. I don't care. He needs a safe place to recover. I have a couch. I can make it work. Are you sure about this? This is a significant commitment. Elena thought about her tiny studio apartment, about her own struggles to make rent, about how crazy this was. Then she thought about Thomas lying under that overpass, waiting to die alone. Yes, I'm sure. That evening, Elena sat beside Thomas's hospital bed and explained her decision. Thomas, they want to discharge you tomorrow. I know you don't have anywhere to go, so I'm offering you my couch, just until we can get your VA housing sorted out. It's not much, but it's warm and dry and safe. Thomas stared at her in disbelief. You would do that? Let a stranger live in your home? Elena smiled. You're not a stranger anymore, Thomas. You're someone who needs help, and I'm someone who can help. That's all that matters. Thomas's eyes filled with tears again. I don't deserve this kindness. Yes, you do. Everyone deserves kindness, Thomas, especially you. He wiped his eyes with shaky hands. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to thank me. Just focus on getting better. The next day, Elena signed discharge papers and helped Thomas into her old Honda Civic. He moved slowly, still weak from the infection. His few belongings fit in a single plastic bag. The drive to her apartment was quiet. Thomas stared out the window at the city he'd been invisible in for so long. Everything looked different from inside a car. More real, more alive. Elena pulled up to a run-down apartment building in the Rainier Valley neighborhood. Home, sweet home. She tried to sound cheerful. Thomas followed her up 3 flights of stairs. Each step was painful for him, but he didn't complain. Elena unlocked the door to her studio. It was tiny, maybe 300 square feet. A kitchenette in one corner, a twin bed against one wall, a small couch, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. But it was clean, it had heat, and it had someone who cared. This is the couch. Elena patted it. I have extra blankets and a pillow. The bathroom is right there. Make yourself at home. Thomas stood in the middle of the room, looking overwhelmed. Elena, this is your home. I can't take your space like this. Where will you sleep? I'll be fine. Elena waved off his concern. The important thing is, you're off the streets and you can heal properly. Now, are you hungry? I was going to make some soup. Thomas nodded slowly. Then he did something unexpected. He stood at attention, as much as his damaged back would allow, and saluted her. Thank you, ma'am, for your service to this old Marine. Elena felt tears sting her eyes. She saluted back, even though she'd never served. It's an honor, Thomas. That night, as Thomas slept on the couch and Elena lay on her too small bed, she wondered what she'd gotten herself into. Her rent was due in 2 weeks. Her bank account had $63 in it. She had a veteran recovering on her couch. And tomorrow, she had to face Margaret at work and explain everything. But despite all of that, Elena felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. She felt purpose. Real purpose, not the bureaucratic paperwork kind, the human kind, the kind that actually changed lives. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer her mother had taught her. Dios, give me strength to do what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Sleep came slowly, but it came. 2 weeks passed. Thomas grew stronger. His cough faded. His color returned. His wounds healed. Elena helped him apply for expedited VA services. She took him to doctor appointments. She made sure he took his medications on time. And in the evenings, they talked. Thomas told her more about Sarah, about the daughter he hadn't spoken to in over 2 years, about the pain of losing her to Patricia's lies. I tried to explain, but the pills had my mind so messed up I couldn't think straight. By the time I got clean, my phone was gone. I had no way to reach her. I don't even know if she thinks about me anymore. Elena listened carefully. Thomas, have you tried looking for her recently? Where would I even start? I don't have a computer. I don't have a phone. I wouldn't even know how to use Facebook or whatever people use now. Elena pulled out her laptop. What's Sarah's full name? Thomas hesitated. Sarah Matthews. She'd be about 20 now. Maybe still at University of Washington, but I don't know. Elena typed quickly. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. After several minutes, she turned the screen toward Thomas. Is this her? On the screen was a professional photo. A young black woman with natural hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore a dark blazer and had a serious, intelligent expression. The caption read, Sarah Matthews, J.D. candidate, University of Washington School of Law. Thomas's hand flew to his mouth. That's her. That's my baby girl. She's in law school? Elena smiled. She's in law school, Thomas. And look at this. She clicked another link. Sarah had written an article for the law school journal titled, Advocating for Homeless Veterans, a Call for Systematic Reform. Thomas read the first few lines, then couldn't continue. His vision blurred with tears. She's trying to help veterans. After everything she's been through, she's trying to help people like me. Elena touched his shoulder gently. Thomas, I think you should reach out to her. I think she deserves to know the truth about what happened. Thomas shook his head. What if she doesn't want to hear from me? What if Patricia convinced her I'm worthless? Elena's voice was firm but kind. What if she's been looking for you? What if she never believed Patricia? What if your daughter needs to know her father is alive? Thomas sat in silence for a long time. Then he whispered, How do I even start? Elena opened a blank document. Start by telling her the truth. Tell her what Patricia did. Tell her you never stopped loving her. Tell her you're sorry for the time that was stolen from both of you. I'll help you write it. Thomas nodded, wiping his eyes. Okay, let's try. They spent the next hour crafting an email. Elena helped him find the words when his emotions overwhelmed him. Finally, they had something simple and honest. Dear Sarah, I don't know if you'll read this or if you even want to hear from me. My name is Thomas Matthews and I'm your father. I know it's been over 2 years since we last spoke. I know Patricia told you things about me that made you believe I abandoned you. I'm writing to tell you the truth. Patricia took everything. The money I'd saved for your college, my disability benefits, and worst of all, my ability to reach you. I became homeless. I became lost. But I never stopped loving you. I never stopped being proud of you. I just saw that you're in law school, fighting for veterans. Sarah, you're doing the work I wish I could have done. You're the best thing I ever did in my life. I don't expect you to forgive me for disappearing. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that I'm alive. I'm getting help. And I think about you every single day. If you want to talk, I'm here. If you don't, I understand. Either way, I love you. I always have. I always will. Dad. Elena read it over. This is perfect, Thomas. It's honest. It's from the heart. Are you ready to send it? Thomas took a shaky breath. What if she doesn't respond? Then at least you tried. At least she knows the truth. Elena positioned the cursor over the send button. Thomas nodded. Elena clicked. The email was sent. Now they waited. Thomas couldn't sleep that night. He lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he'd just made a terrible mistake. What if Sarah blocked the email? What if she deleted it without reading? What if she read it and decided he wasn't worth her time? The what-ifs consumed him until dawn broke through the window. Elena woke up to find Thomas sitting at the small kitchen table, his head in his hands. Couldn't sleep? He shook his head. I keep thinking about what she might be thinking right now, if she's even seen it yet. Elena poured 2 cups of coffee. Thomas, whatever happens, you did the right thing. You reached out. You told the truth. The rest is up to her. Thomas accepted the coffee gratefully. I just want one more chance to tell her I'm sorry. Just one more chance. Meanwhile, across the city in the University of Washington Law Library, Sarah Matthews sat alone at a desk surrounded by textbooks and case files. It was 2 a.m. The library was nearly empty. Sarah had been studying for 6 straight hours, preparing for her final exams. Her eyes burned, her back ached, but she pushed through. She always pushed through. Sarah had learned early that success required sacrifice. Nothing came easy for a black woman in law school. She had to be twice as good to be considered half as equal. So she studied twice as hard. She worked twice as long, and she never let anyone see her struggle. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again. Annoyed, she picked it up. An email notification. The sender's name made her freeze. Thomas Matthews. Sarah's hands started shaking. She hadn't heard that name in over 2 years. Not since the day Patricia had shown her the bank statements and told her the crushing story of her father's addiction and abandonment. Sarah had cried for weeks. Then she'd locked that pain away and focused on her future. She'd gotten a full scholarship to law school. She'd thrown herself into advocacy work. She'd built a new life that didn't include the father who'd chosen drugs over her. But now his name was on her phone. and Sarah didn't know whether to delete it or open it. If you are enjoying this story, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's prove my mum wrong. She had tell me I can't get to 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget to like and comment. Now, let us continue. Her finger hovered over the delete button. Just delete it. You don't need this. You don't need him. But something stopped her. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the part of her that still remembered sitting on that porch with her dad, feeling safe and loved. Maybe it was the little girl inside her who never stopped wanting her father back. Sarah opened the email. She read it once, then twice, then a third time. Her vision blurred. Patricia took everything, became homeless, never stopped loving you. Each word hit like a physical blow. Sarah stood up abruptly. Her chair scraped loudly against the floor. Another late-night student looked over, startled. Sarah grabbed her laptop and her bag and walked quickly out of the library. She needed air. She needed space. She needed to think. Outside, the night air was cold and sharp. Sarah sat on a bench and read the email again. Was this true? Had Patricia lied about everything? Sarah remembered that day 2 years ago. Patricia had seemed so concerned, so sad. She'd shown Sarah documents, bank statements with her father's name on withdrawals, pictures of prescription bottles. She'd cried as she explained how Thomas had pushed everyone away. But what if those documents were fake? What if Patricia had manipulated everything? Sarah pulled up her contacts and found the number she hadn't called in years. Patricia's number. She hesitated. Then she pressed call. The phone rang 4 times before a sleepy voice answered. Hello? Patricia, it's Sarah. There was a pause, a long pause. Then Patricia's voice changed, became cautious. Sarah, it's been a while. What's wrong? I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Okay. Did you take my father's money? Did you lie to me about why he disappeared? Another pause. Longer this time. Sarah could hear her heartbeat in her ears. Sarah, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. Sarah's voice was hard now. Did you steal from him? Did you turn me against him? The line went silent. Then Patricia laughed. A cold, bitter sound. He reached out to you, didn't he? That pathetic old man actually found a way to contact you. So it's true. Sarah felt like she was falling. You did this. Patricia's voice lost all pretense of warmth. Yes, I did it. And you know what? I don't regret it. Your father was weak. He was broken. I deserved better than being stuck with a disabled drug addict. How could you? He was a veteran. He served his country. He loved you. Patricia scoffed. Love doesn't pay bills, Sarah. I did what I had to do to survive. And you believed me because you wanted to believe the worst of him. Don't put this on me. Sarah was crying now. You destroyed our family. You destroyed him. I didn't destroy anything that wasn't already broken. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have a life to get back to. Don't call this number again. The line went dead. Sarah sat there on that bench, crying in the cold night air as the truth washed over her. Her father hadn't abandoned her. He'd been stolen from her, and she'd believed the lie. Oh, God, what have I done? She whispered into the darkness. Daddy, where are you? Sarah didn't sleep that night. She went back to her apartment and immediately started searching. She looked up Thomas Matthews in Seattle. She found news articles about homeless veterans. She called the VA, but they couldn't give her information without his consent. She called hospitals. She called shelters. Nothing. By dawn, Sarah was exhausted and desperate. She sat at her desk and did the only thing she could think of. She replied to his email. Dad, I just got your email. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Patricia told me terrible things and I believed her. I spoke to her tonight and she admitted everything. She admitted she stole from you. She admitted she lied. I should have known. I should have trusted you. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder to find you. Please tell me where you are. Please let me see you. I need to see you. I need to tell you I'm sorry in person. I love you, Daddy. I never stopped. Sarah? She pressed send and then collapsed onto her bed. emotionally drained. Across the city, Elena was making breakfast when her laptop chimed with a notification. Thomas was sitting at the small table, staring into his coffee cup like he'd been doing every morning since they sent the email 3 days ago. Elena glanced at the screen. Her eyes widened. Thomas. Thomas looked up slowly, afraid to hope. What? You got a response. From Sarah. Thomas shot to his feet so fast he nearly knocked over his chair. His hands shook as Elena turned the laptop toward him. He read the email once, then his knees buckled. Elena caught him and helped him back into the chair. She's sorry. She wants to see me. She said she loves me. Thomas covered his face with both hands and sobbed. Deep, wrenching sobs that came from years of pain and loss. Elena knelt beside him, her own eyes wet. Thomas, she never stopped loving you. She was lied to. But now she knows the truth. Thomas couldn't speak. He just nodded, tears streaming down his weathered face. Elena gently pulled the laptop closer. Do you want to write back? Yes? Thomas wiped his eyes. Yes, I need to tell her where I am. Together, they composed a response. Sarah, my beautiful daughter, you have nothing to apologize for. Patricia is a master manipulator. You were young and you believed someone you trusted. That's not your fault. I'm in Seattle. I'm staying with an angel named Elena who saved my life. She found me when I was dying under an overpass and she refused to let me go. I'm getting better every day. I would love nothing more than to see you. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere ever again. I love you so much. Dad. Elena hit send. Now we wait again, she said softly. But this time, Thomas smiled. This time I know she's coming. 2 hours later, Sarah's response came. Tomorrow. Can I come see you tomorrow? Tell me where and when. I'll be there. Thomas's hands shook as he typed the address of Elena's apartment building. 2 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be waiting. The next day felt like the longest day of Thomas's life. He woke up at dawn. Elena had helped him go to a donation center the day before to get clean clothes. A button-down shirt that was slightly too big, dark jeans, real shoes instead of the torn sneakers he'd worn for months. She'd also taken him to a barber who donated cuts to homeless veterans once a month. His hair was trimmed. His beard was neat. He looked like a human being again. But inside, Thomas was terrified. What if Sarah sees me and realizes I'm not worth forgiving? What if she's disappointed? Elena fixed his collar and looked him straight in the eye. Thomas, your daughter is coming because she loves you, not because of how you look or where you've been, because you're her father and she never stopped loving you. Just be yourself. That's all she needs. At 1:45 p.m., Thomas sat on the couch staring at the door. His leg bounced nervously. Elena sat beside him, a calm presence. At 1:58 p.m., they heard footsteps in the hallway, someone climbing the stairs quickly. Then they stopped. Right outside the door. A long pause. Then a soft knock. Thomas stood up, his heart hammered in his chest. Elena nodded encouragingly. Thomas walked to the door. His hand hesitated on the knob. Then he opened it. Standing in the hallway was Sarah. She was taller than he remembered. Her natural hair was pulled back. She wore jeans and a University of Washington sweatshirt. Her eyes were red from crying, and she looked exactly like her mother, Thomas's first wife, the love of his life who'd passed away from cancer when Sarah was 10. Daddy? Sarah's voice broke on the word. Baby girl. Thomas opened his arms. Sarah collapsed into them, sobbing against his chest. Thomas held her tight, tears streaming down his own face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sarah kept saying it over and over. Shh. It's okay. You're here now. That's all that matters. They stood there in the doorway, holding each other, while Elena quietly wiped her own tears and slipped into the bathroom to give them privacy. Finally, they pulled apart. Sarah looked at her father's face, really looked at him. You look so different. I'm sorry for everything you went through. Thomas cupped her face gently. Don't apologize. You did nothing wrong. I'm just so proud of you. Law school, Sarah. You're in law school fighting for veterans. Do you know how incredible that is? Sarah laughed through her tears. I'm fighting for you, Daddy. I've been fighting for you this whole time without even knowing it. They sat down on the couch together. For hours they talked. Thomas told her everything. The injury, the pills, the pain, Patricia's betrayal, the homelessness, the years of survival, and finally, Elena finding him under that overpass. Sarah listened to every word, holding her father's hand. Then she told him about her own journey, the scholarship, the law school struggles, the advocacy work, and the hole in her heart that never healed. I kept telling myself I didn't need you, that I was better off without you. But I was lying. I needed my dad. I always needed my dad. Thomas pulled her close. You have me now. I'm here, and I'm never leaving you again. I promise. Sarah looked around the tiny apartment. Daddy, where's the woman who saved you? Elena? She's giving us space, but you need to meet her. She's the reason I'm alive. She risked everything to help me. Sarah stood up. I want to thank her. Thomas called out. Elena, you can come out now. Elena emerged from the bathroom looking a bit embarrassed. Sorry, I didn't want to intrude. Sarah walked straight to her and pulled her into a hug. Thank you. Thank you for saving my father's life. Thank you for giving me a second chance with him. Elena hugged her back. You don't have to thank me. Your father is an incredible man. He deserves all the good things coming to him. Sarah pulled back, wiping her eyes. She looked at Elena, then at the tiny apartment, then back at Elena. How long has my father been staying here? About 3 weeks now, Elena said. And you've been taking care of him this whole time? Yes. Sarah's expression shifted. She was a law student. She was trained to see problems and find solutions. This wasn't sustainable. Elena was clearly struggling financially. The apartment was too small for 2 people, and her father needed more help than one person could provide. Sarah made a decision. She pulled out her phone. Daddy, Elena, I need to make some calls. I have some ideas. Over the next 2 hours, Sarah made things happen. She called the law school's veteran advocacy clinic and got them involved in expediting Thomas's VA housing application. She called a lawyer friend who specialized in financial fraud and started the process of going after Patricia legally. She called her roommate and arranged to move back home so her father could have proper space. And she called a real estate agent to start looking for a better living situation. Thomas and Elena watched in amazement as this young woman took control of the situation with fierce determination. When Sarah finally put down her phone, she looked at both of them. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Daddy, we're going to get you into permanent VA housing within the next 2 weeks. I have connections at the clinic who owe me favors. While we wait, you're going to stay in my apartment. It's bigger and I'll stay with my roommate. Elena, you've done more than anyone should ever have to do. But I want to help you too. What do you need? Elena shook her head. Sarah, I don't need anything. I'm just glad your father is okay. Sarah gave her a look that reminded Thomas of a courtroom attorney. Elena, you saved my father's life. You opened your home to a stranger. You risked your job. Don't tell me you don't need anything. Elena hesitated, then quietly said, I'm behind on rent. My car needs repairs. My student loans are crushing me. But I'll figure it out. I always do. Sarah pulled out her laptop. What's your rent? Elena told her. Sarah typed quickly, then turned the screen around. This is a fund I set up when I started law school for emergency situations. It's not much, but I want you to have it. Elena's eyes widened. That's 3 months of rent. I can't take that. Yes, you can. And you will. Sarah's tone left no room for argument. You gave my father a home when he had nothing. This is the least I can do. Elena started crying again. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept help the way you gave it, freely and without guilt. Elena nodded, overwhelmed. Okay, I'll accept it. Thank you. Thomas watched his daughter with pride swelling in his chest. When did you become so strong? Sarah smiled at him. I learned from the best. You taught me to fight for what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That evening, Sarah took Thomas and Elena out to dinner at a small restaurant near the university. It was nothing fancy, but after weeks of survival and struggle, it felt like a feast. They talked and laughed and made plans for the future. For the first time in years, Thomas felt hope. Real, tangible hope. As they walked back to Elena's apartment, Sarah linked arms with her father. "Daddy, I'm going to make sure Patricia pays for what she did. We're going to get your money back. We're going to make sure she can't hurt anyone else." Thomas stopped walking. Sarah looked at him with concern. "What's wrong?" Thomas took a deep breath. "Baby girl, I appreciate what you want to do, but I need to tell you something I've learned. Revenge won't heal me. Getting that money back won't give me back the years I lost. What will heal me is this: you, being here, knowing you love me. That's all I need." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "But Daddy, she deserves to be punished." Thomas nodded. "Maybe she does, and maybe the legal system will take care of that. But I can't carry hatred in my heart anymore. It's too heavy. I've been carrying too much weight for too long. I just want to be free." Sarah hugged him tight. "You're a better person than I am." Thomas kissed the top of her head. "No, I'm just a person who's been given a second chance, and I don't want to waste it on anger." Elena, who had been walking quietly beside them, spoke up. "Thomas, I think that's the bravest thing I've ever heard anyone say." Sarah looked at Elena, then back at her father. "Okay, we'll do it your way, but I'm still making sure you get the benefits you're owed. That's not revenge, that's justice." Thomas smiled. "That I can accept." 3 weeks later, things had changed dramatically. Thomas was approved for VA housing and moved into a small but clean apartment in a veterans complex. It had a kitchen, a real bedroom, and most importantly, safety and stability. Sarah visited him almost every day, helping him furnish the place with donations and thrift store finds. Elena continued to visit regularly, too, checking on Thomas's health and making sure he was adjusting well. The three of them had formed an unlikely family, one forged not by blood alone, but by sacrifice, compassion, and shared struggle. One afternoon, Sarah arrived at her father's apartment with news. "Daddy, I need to tell you something." Thomas looked up from the book he was reading. "What is it?" "I'm graduating early. I've been taking extra classes and I have enough credits to graduate this semester instead of waiting until next year." Thomas's face lit up. "Sarah, that's incredible. When's the ceremony?" "Next month. And I want you there. Front row." Thomas felt tears prick his eyes. "I wouldn't miss it for the world." Sarah sat down beside him. "There's something else. I've been offered a job after graduation. A really good job." "Where?" "At a nonprofit law firm that specializes in veteran advocacy. It's exactly what I've been working toward. And Daddy, it pays well. Really well." Thomas hugged her tight. "I'm so proud of you. You're going to change lives." Sarah pulled back and looked at him seriously. "I want to change your life first. I want you to come live with me. I'm getting a bigger apartment, 2 bedrooms. You can have your own space. We can be a family again." Thomas was overwhelmed. "Sarah, you're just starting your career. You don't need to take care of your old man." "Yes, I do. Not because I have to. Because I want to. I lost too many years with you. I'm not losing any more." Thomas looked at his daughter, this brilliant, compassionate woman he'd somehow managed to raise right despite all his failures. "Okay, if you're sure. I'm sure." Sarah smiled. "We're going to be okay, Daddy. We're going to be better than okay." The graduation ceremony was beautiful. Thomas sat in the front row wearing a suit that Sarah had bought him. Elena sat beside him, equally dressed up for the occasion. When Sarah's name was called, they both stood and cheered louder than anyone else in the auditorium. Sarah walked across that stage, accepted her diploma, and looked directly at her father. She mouthed the words, "I love you." Thomas mouthed them back, tears streaming down his face. After the ceremony, they took pictures. Sarah, in her cap and gown, standing between Thomas and Elena. A family that wasn't related by blood, but by something stronger, something that couldn't be broken. That night, at a small celebration dinner, Sarah made an announcement. "I have one more surprise." She pulled out an envelope and handed it to Elena. "What's this?" Elena asked. "Open it." Elena carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a letter. Her eyes scanned the page and widened with each line. "This is a job offer." Sarah grinned. "The nonprofit I'm working for needs a social worker, someone who understands veterans, someone with compassion and dedication. I told them about you. They want to interview you next week." Elena's hands shook. "Sarah, this is double what I make now. I know, and you deserve every penny. Will you at least interview?" Elena looked at Thomas, then back at Sarah. "Yes. Yes, of course I will." Sarah raised her glass. "To new beginnings." Thomas and Elena raised their glasses too. "To new beginnings," they echoed. 2 months later, Elena got the job. She moved into a better apartment in a safer neighborhood. She paid off a chunk of her student loans. She sent money home to help her youngest sibling start college. And every Sunday, she had dinner with Thomas and Sarah. They'd become her family too. One Sunday evening, after dinner, Sarah and Thomas sat on his small balcony watching the sun set over Seattle. Sarah rested her head on her father's shoulder. "Daddy, can I ask you something?" "Anything, baby girl." "Do you ever think about Patricia? About what she did?" Thomas was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes, but not with anger anymore. Mostly I feel sorry for her." "Sorry for her?" Sarah lifted her head to look at him. "Why?" "Because she's going to live the rest of her life knowing what she did, knowing she destroyed something good for temporary comfort. That's a heavy burden to carry. I'd rather forgive and be free than hold on to hate and stay imprisoned." Sarah thought about that. The law school in her wanted justice, wanted punishment, but the daughter in her just wanted her father to be at peace. "I'm still angry at her for what she did to you." Thomas put his arm around her. "That's okay. You're allowed to be angry, but don't let it consume you. Don't let her take any more from us than she already has." Sarah nodded. "You're right. I just wish I could make her understand the pain she caused." Thomas looked out at the city lights beginning to twinkle in the dusk. "Maybe one day she will, or maybe she won't. Either way, it's not our burden to carry anymore." They sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned from orange to purple to deep blue. Inside the apartment, Thomas's phone rang. He went in to answer it. "Hello? Mr. Matthews, this is Officer Rodriguez with the Seattle Police Department. We've been trying to reach you regarding the case against Patricia Chen." Thomas's heart sank. "Yes? We wanted to inform you that Ms. Chen has been arrested. We found evidence of fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement of federal benefits. The VA has been investigating and they found she'd been redirecting your disability payments for over 3 years. That's over $60,000. Thomas sat down slowly. $60,000. "Yes, sir. The district attorney wants to know if you're willing to cooperate with prosecution. They believe they have a strong case." Thomas thought about his conversation with Sarah just minutes ago, about forgiveness, about being free. "Officer, I'll cooperate with providing information, but I don't want to be the one driving this prosecution. If the government wants to pursue it for defrauding federal programs, that's their choice. But I'm not looking for revenge." The officer was silent for a moment. "Mr. Matthews, I have to tell you, most people in your situation would be pushing for maximum penalties. Why aren't you? Because I've learned that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I just want to move forward with my life." "I understand, sir. We'll be in touch if we need your testimony. Thank you for your service." Thomas hung up and walked back to the balcony. Sarah looked at him questioningly. "That was the police. Patricia's been arrested. They found evidence of everything she did." Sarah sat up straight. "What? That's huge, Daddy. We can get your money back. We can make sure she pays for this." Thomas sat down beside her. "They can make sure she pays. I'm going to cooperate, but I'm not going to let this consume me." Sarah started to protest, but Thomas held up his hand gently. "Baby girl, listen to me. I could spend the next year angry, going to court, reliving all the pain. Or I could spend it building a life with you, getting to know Elena better, maybe even helping other veterans who are where I was. Which one sounds better to you?" Sarah was quiet. Then she leaned against him again. "The second one. Definitely the second one." Thomas kissed the top of her head. "That's my smart girl. Whatever money they recover, if any, will be a bonus, but it's not what's going to make me whole. You already did that, just by coming back to me." Months passed. Patricia was convicted of federal fraud and sentenced to prison. Thomas testified once, then focused on his new life volunteering at a veteran outreach program, becoming a peer counselor and voice of hope. Elena and Sarah thrived at the nonprofit, fighting for veterans' rights. They still gathered for Sunday dinners as a family. One Sunday, Sarah arrived with Marcus, a kind law student she'd been dating. Thomas watched them together throughout dinner, seeing genuine love and respect. After they left, Thomas finally confessed his feelings to Elena. She felt the same way. They'd fallen in love through shared struggle and healing. A year later, they married in a small community center. Thomas wore his Marine dress uniform with medals. Elena wore a simple white dress. Sarah stood as her father's best person. During their vows, Thomas promised to honor Elena for saving his life. Elena promised to love him with fierce determination, calling him her hero. Sarah gave a tearful toast about how Elena's compassion completed their family and taught her that one person can change everything. At the reception, surrounded by veterans, family, and friends, Thomas and Elena stepped outside. Under the stars, Elena revealed she was pregnant. Thomas wept with joy at this unexpected gift, another chance to get fatherhood right. 9 months later, baby Hope was born. Sarah became a big sister and promised to tell Hope about their father's bravery and miracle story. 2 years later, Thomas received a letter from the district attorney. Patricia had been ordered to pay full restitution, $63,000. Thomas and Elena decided to split it, half for Hope's education, a quarter for Sarah and Marcus's upcoming wedding, and the rest donated to the veteran outreach program. At Sarah's wedding, she revealed she was pregnant. Thomas was becoming a grandfather. As the celebration continued, Thomas reflected on his journey from dying under a bridge to this moment of joy. One act of kindness from Elena had changed everything. Years later, Thomas would tell young Hope how he met her mother. He'd explain she was named after what kept him alive and what Elena gave him when she found him. He'd teach Hope that hope is a choice, to believe tomorrow can be better, to help even when it's hard, to forgive even when hurt, to love even when afraid. Sometimes hope is a person who stops when others walk by, who cares when others are too busy, who sees the invisible. He'd make Hope promise to always be that person for someone else. Thomas had been a Marine, firefighter, husband, father, then homeless and invisible. But he became something more, a survivor, husband again, father again, grandfather, advocate, and voice for the voiceless. All because one social worker chose to stop, one daughter refused to give up, and people chose love over indifference. That choice made all the difference. If this story moved you and reminded you of the power of kindness, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. Share this video with your friends and family. Someone in your circle needs to be reminded that second chances are real, that compassion matters, and that no one is beyond saving.